You're on. You're on.
I'm on?
Yes.
Hello.
It's all right.
Welcome, everyone. Sorry about that. I needed to turn off the air conditioner. And I can do that today because it's raining in Kansas, and oh, what a nice day this is. It's been so hot. So anyway, welcome, everyone, to another one of our sessions here. So we are still in July, and that means that we are very much promoting the Willow Blouse project. And this Friday is the Q&A session. Now, granted, we've already had one regarding Willow Blouse and other things, so we're having a second one this month. So you can come to this Q&A session on Friday, noon Central Time, with any question you want, pretty much anything, anything. Not just about the Willow Blouse, it can be about any project for So Confident this year, or whatever you want to talk about. Let's just have some fun on a great Friday afternoon. And then next Monday, which is the 1st of August, which seems impossible, is the launch of the August So Confident project. And instead of the video that you normally get, you're going to be getting a PDF presentation that Betsy's put together that is incredibly beautiful and inspirational. So I think you're going to really like that. That's your bonus month. August is one of your bonus months, and that's what's happening with that. So I have just come back from New York, where I attended an international textile show. And I got to see lots of the vendors who I buy fabrics from all over the world, plus some new ones. And it was an interesting time. I can't say that I came away with some revolutionary new fabric that we're all going to go crazy about. But what I did come away with is the idea that color is really, really strong. Pure, clear colors, lots of fabrics that have motifs, textures. It was just an explosion of color and pattern, which was really great. I had some things in mind. We're already gearing up for So Confident 2023, Series 12, will that be? Yes. Amazing. We've been at this for 12 years now. So we have our garments in mind. I was looking for fabrics that are appropriate for those. I think I've nailed down a few, so we're getting ahead of the game a little bit. So I spent some time doing that. It was quite interesting to talk about pricing has gone up for everyone. That's the reality of things right now, except for Japanese fabrics, but that are going down a little bit. So that's good news as well. So you'll be seeing some of these fabrics come in. I'll be showing them to you on these kinds of platforms, and I can't wait to show you what's coming in from Belgium, France, Italy, Japan, Canada, so all over the world. So it's going to be great. All right, so one little piece of news, speaking of New York. Alex was with me in New York, and she volunteers for the Boys and Girls Club of Cleveland, and she has started a fashion design program for some girls and a guy. And every Friday they meet and they're working on their portfolios with their drawings, and then they're going to get into sewing, and it's a full program that she's developed, and it's become extremely popular. So she is taking a group of kids to Fashion Week in New York. And we kind of scoped out some possibilities for where she might take these kids. We happened to see the kimono exhibit at the Metropolitan Museum, and it was incredible. Of course, the vintage antique kimonos from the 17th century, I don't even know how they still exist. They seem so delicate, but they're incredibly beautiful. But really, I was the most interested in the more contemporary renditions inspired by old kimono by contemporary designers, many of whom I've really never heard of, but it was fascinating. So if you are in New York before, I think, October, the end of October, in my mind, that's a must-see exhibition. It was fabulous. So that's something that these kids might get to see if we can come up with the money to buy their tickets to get into the Metropolitan. Of course, there's always something going on at FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology. They'll get to wander through the garment district and go into some fabric stores. So there's lots of opportunities for these kids, but they're trying to raise money. So I've sent them some money, and maybe you might want to as well. And if you're interested in helping to support sending about 8 kids to New York for Fashion Week, you're welcome to do that. And you can always email alex@sewingworkshop.com, and she'll give you some information. She can send you a copy of this flyer, which is called Design You, Boys and Girls Club, Fashion Week Tour, and they're looking for sponsorships, and any amount of money is going to be great. So another opportunity for you to support a great program. So I follow Eileen Fisher on social media, and I get emails. In fact, I think almost daily emails from Eileen Fisher. It happens to be a line that I really like. I like its simplicity. I like its core wardrobe concept. And many of the designs that Eileen Fisher has in their line really are sort of in the same realm as what we produce here at the Sewing Workshop. Although I think we have a bigger variety of things and so forth. But, you know, pants and basic tops really can very much sometimes look like Eileen Fisher. And today's email was this wonderful shirt. And I looked at that and I said to myself, well, that is the Maison top. So I pulled out a Maison top for you to look at. And in my opinion, the only difference here is that while we have a bottom band that's about 2 inches wide, and it draws in the bottom of the, I'm going to hang this up, I think. While it draws in the bottom of the shirt, this band is a little bit wider, probably about 3 inches, and it's 1-to-1 ratio to the bottom of the t-shirt or the sweatshirt, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's a great way to begin to think about simple modifications for the Maison top. And I'm going to make one. And if I get it made, you'll see it next week. I don't know, we'll see. But I'm thinking about it. But I'm going to expand this to a little bit, maybe another inch. And I'm going to get rid of the easing that's across here. And we'll see how it goes. So inspiration is everywhere. It comes to you in a flash sometimes. And I just took a look at this and thought, that is the Maison top. But today I'm showing you the Eureka top. And I think of all the patterns that we have in the line, the Eureka top is the most versatile. We have made it in knits. We have made it in wovens. We have made it short, mid-length, long as a dress. We've made it in combinations. We've left the band off. We've put different kinds of bindings on it. People have put cowl necks on it. We have a long sleeve version of it. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And to me, this is maybe the simplest garment that we have to make, or one of them, but it's also right on. It's still happening in fashion, and I put this on this morning after making it. Actually, Erin was the one who was in the garment for photography, but I actually have it on today. And this is going to France with me because this is so comfortable. So we're calling this the French Circus Eureka top because of the fabric. And the fabric is this really interesting fabric that I have never seen before. I have never seen a pique knit. Now, we all probably know what pique is. You know, it's a certain kind of weave that's kind of a small waffle weave or various raised weaves. But it's usually in cotton, and this is in woven, and this is a knit. And so it does have stretch to it, but not a lot. It's fairly stable, and it's not going to stretch out. It's all cotton, I think. It might have a little bit of lycra in it. Yeah, it has a little bit of lycra in it. But I was really intrigued with the pattern and the color combination. So here it is with this pale blue background, and then the motifs are printed in red. And it's red. It's red, red. You always are asking me about red, and this is red. But we have cats and cellos and bicycles and pathways and buildings and skyscrapers and umbrellas, and it's just this fanciful, whimsical print that reminds me of a circus. And because the fabric was made in France, it has a very French feel to it. So that's why we're calling it the French Circus Eureka top. Well, a couple of years ago, I had taken the Eureka top and done a little something with it. So let's look at it. This is the exact one that I made a couple of years ago. I used a striped knit on the front. I lengthened it. And then I added a pocket, some banding on the sleeves, and then made a yoke and a lower back, and I combined knit with woven. And this is really the first time I'd seen that trend, and it's the first time I'd really ever done it. And I wasn't sure how it worked, sewing the woven to the knit and using a woven piece of fabric for the binding instead of the normal ready-to-wear binding in a knit. And it all just worked out great. So this was the inspiration for using this particular fabric here. And I used then a gingham, a seersucker gingham. So you have gingham, which is a small check, but it's seersucker, seersucker is just a permanently puckered fabric. What I like about seersuckers is that they don't really wrinkle and you don't have to iron them. That is a good thing. So this is a knit also that doesn't seem to want to wrinkle, even though it's cotton. And I think it's that pique texture that keeps the stability of this and the non-wrinkling property. So you have two fabrics that are really compatible in terms of weight and character and the non-wrinkling properties, and they're both cotton. So I like that. So let's talk about what I did to the one that I have on. So here it is in all its glory, front and back. And let's go through what I did to it. So the Eureka top, when you just make it out of the package, just looks like this. It's a little bit shorter than what I have on the dress form, but it's very simple. So this has been lengthened in the front and the back 1.5 inches. Now I used to lengthen them about 2 inches, but for this particular one, I left it at 1.5 inches. And we have lengthen and shorten lines on the pattern, so you just cut along those lines, you spread that, insert some paper, and retape it, and you have your lengthened front and back. Then, at I think it's 6 inches, as I recall, drew a line horizontal across the back pattern piece and traced that upper shape and added a seam allowance to this portion so that I have a new back yoke. And then the lower part has an inverted pleat. So this has been set off or extended 1.5 inches from the back fold. And then by the time you make a pleat that goes both ways, which is what an inverted pleat is, that's 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, and so you've taken up that extra 1.5 inches to make the inverted pleat. This can be pressed all the way down or it can be left soft, it doesn't really matter, it's just a nice little detail. But once you have your line on your pattern, then you would trace the lower part, add a seam allowance to the top of that, and then add the 1.5 inch at the center back. It's so simple. You've made 2 new pattern pieces, back yoke, lower back. So then, to make a pocket piece, this is a 4 3/4 inch by 5 3/4 inch square. There's about 1 inch hem allowance at the top that's been top stitched, and then the pocket is edge stitched on. Now I've put this about 3 inches from the center front and about 6 inches, 6.5 inches down. But this pocket needs to be kind of placed on you where it feels good. I remember making the front, cutting out the front, actually putting it on me in front of a mirror and moving that pocket around and deciding what looked best on me. And then use the woven for the regular band, and that band can be folded up like this, or it can be left longer if you want a little more length on your sleeve. But this is the woven, and it's a simple attachment, simply serged through the edge, and those are all in the instructions of the Eureka top. Now normally, a binding on a t-shirt is cut on the cross grain, because cross grains of knits are almost exactly the same stretch capability as when you cut something on the bias. So there's no need to cut a knit binding on the bias. But it is necessary to cut a woven on the bias in order to get some give. So this has been cut. I've forgotten the width, but I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. And this has been single layer applied to the neckline and sewn with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Then that is turned over the raw edge, so you have a 3/8 inch wide binding. It's tucked down and then stitched in the ditch right here at this seam. And then on the inside, you trim that really close. So that's a raw edge on the inside, but it's biased, so this fabric is not going to ravel. So it's a super easy way to convert a binding. Same width, same pattern piece, essentially. It's just on the bias instead of on the cross grain. And because I think we built the Eureka top for a knit, then this pattern has a regular lengthwise or crosswise grain line on the pattern piece, and you would convert that to a bias straighted grain. Now I make one size smaller in this garment than I normally do in a woven, or even in some. It's a generous garment. You can make it as big as you want. You can make it as small as you want. I could probably even go down 2 sizes, but I like the look of the generous feel of this garment. So I wouldn't go down too much, really, but I do go down 1 size. So I have on a small today, and normally I have many mediums that I wear. I own a couple of extra smalls that I can get my body into, but it's not the right look, and it's not that comfortable. So that's what we've done. Now all of this is in a tutorial, some inspirational photos of where the idea came from, all the drawings of the lengthening, the placement of the pocket, some directions of how to apply the binding. So all of those directions are in a really nice presentation, PDF, download, tutorial that's available to you. So if you're interested in making one of these, you can follow the directions in that. We have another little mild variation of this same concept, this time with a V-neck. And this is just using the same weight of knit, contrasting color, put on just like a regular ready-to-wear binding, and then it is clipped and pinched. See if I can get this so you can see it. Clipped and pinched so that that forms the V. So this is put on in one piece with the seam at the center back. And while it looks like there's a seam on the front, that's really just an adaptation to make it a V-neck. But the binding is connected at the center back. So this has knit yoke, same idea as the one I just showed you and the one I have on. Has a woven with the pleat at the back. It's a little bit sheer on this one. Same woven for the sleeves and pocket, but look where I've put the pocket on this one. Just a little different placement, and I think it changes it up. The idea of having a pocket up here, sort of near this V-neck, seemed a little complicated in terms of the kind of too busy, and the placement was odd. So I ended up dropping that as well. This is just saying to me, this has to be a summer dress. You know, you lengthen this 20 inches, 24 inches, whatever, make it a long dress, use the combination of the woven and the knit, and you have yourself a really cool summer dress. I don't know, I stand up here and I say these things and I think, I've got to go to the sewing machine. I have to make one of these. I don't know, there's only just so much time, I guess.
That'd be perfect in France.
I know, that's just what I was thinking. You can tell I'm kind of gearing up to go to our Chateau du Mans workshop in France, which I think I leave in a couple of weeks. Next week is Sew Kansas here in Topeka. We have lovely ladies coming for that. And Kathy Davis and I are doing a special trunk show of Asian-inspired garments one of the evenings for Sew Kansas, and I think I'm probably going to show some of those things to you in the coming weeks so that you can have the benefit of seeing some of the garments that we're going to show. And then I think I leave for France after that, and it's blistering hot, or at least it is now. I've been to France when I've had to buy a coat in August, but mostly I need air under my clothes, and the idea of a dress like that is really appealing. All right, so let's see. What have I left off here? I've talked about the changes. So if you're making this garment, you need 1 yard and 1/8 of knit fabric and 7/8 of a yard of woven fabric for any size. And so we've put together a kit just for you of this fabric and this combination. So you need the Eureka pattern, top pattern, which is a download, or some of you may have an older version of a print Eureka that may still be around. We happen to be out of those. But this is in the kit is 1 yard and 1/8 of this and 7/8 of a yard of this and the right spool of thread in a nice bag for you. And also you get the tutorial that explains how to do this for free, included as in the, how does that happen here? And they order it and it's in their account.
Right, so when you order the kit, it'll be included. So you'll get an email and it'll say that, you know, you do have a download ready. So that's what the download is the tutorial.
Okay. I'm sort of technically challenged. Maybe even not sort of, I really am. I don't know what I'd do without Erin and Betsy and Alex and everybody. Anyway, so one little side note, this does not come in the kit, but you're going to want to get some Fusey Web, which is our fusible web. I hesitate to use the word tape because it's not a tape. It looks like a tape when you get it. It's paper covered, but when you press the paper covered tape down, let's say on a hem, and you remove the paper, then you turn the hem up and it fuses the hem in place. It's the best product on the market. If you've not used it yet, I encourage you to use it because it is every other product like it is too heavy, too sticky, and creates a hem that's a little bit stiff. But our Fusey Web is really nice, and you don't even know it's there. It's so sheer, and it keeps your hems in place, particularly on knits, so that you don't have to think about anything scooting around while you are sewing a hem. Of course, you're going to use your walking foot or even feed feature on your sewing machine, and with the help of sewing crosswise on a knit, that's when it's usually the stretchiest. So anyway, Fusey Web is going to be something you're going to want to have. So we have on sale today the kits. We have about 80 kits. Now, we'll see how that goes. But that's all we have of the kits. And so if you're interested, I suggest that you kind of go for it and get it soon. So the instructions will come with it. And then we have one tutorial on sale as well, 3 bias bindings. And that's all about various ways to bind a neckline. All right, so what do we have for questions? Anything today?
They want to know, what about if you're a little busty, an F cup, I believe is what she said. How does this pattern work?
Well, you can add bust fullness without a dart in a knit. That happens to be in our fitting encyclopedia booklet. So you can do that. That's not something I'm prepared to draw. I don't have my drawing stuff here today, but look for either online from someone else, or if you own our fitting book, that's in there. Adding bust fullness without a dart, and that's super easy to do.
Following the new tutorial, can the top be made in the largest size?
In the largest size? Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. The kits, if that's relating to the yardages in the kits and the yardages I've told you about, those yardages work for the largest size of the Eureka. And you may want to lengthen it a little bit more than just 1.5 inches. But you can tell, you can hold a tape measure up or hold the pattern up to you in front of a mirror and determine where you want it.
That goes with the next question. Is there enough yardage in the kit to lengthen, and if you need a full bust adjustment? Well,
there's definitely enough for the full bust adjustment. I think there's enough fabric to lengthen it a little bit, but you can't lengthen it 6 inches. But 2, 3, 4 inches there's probably enough.
I'd say at most 2, probably.
2 inches?
Okay. To lengthen it.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you make a long sleeve with the Eureka?
Yes. Erin, tell them how they can get the long sleeve.
We do have that as a blog. So if you go to the blog and search Eureka, one of the blogs is about lengthening, or it actually has a long sleeve that you can download.
Yes. The actual pattern is there in our blog that you can download. And it's a fairly tapered sleeve. It also shows you how to scoop this out just a little bit to add the sleeve to it. But yeah, I'd forgotten that was on the blog.
For the neckline, is it a 1-to-1 ratio for the binding?
No, the ratio, I've used the same pattern piece for the woven as the knit, and that's a 7/8 ratio. Because it's bias, it stretches. So there's plenty there.
And can you fit that over your head easily?
Yes, I got this over my head this morning, even over my glasses, which is always the hang-up. Now, the difference is, normally there's a 5/8 inch seam allowance up here, and I've only used a 3/8 inch seam allowance. So this neck is a 1/4 inch smaller than a Eureka if you were to follow the instructions. You can make this bigger if you want to. You can change the shape, whatever. But this is using the same neckline, but a 3/8 inch seam allowance.
If I order the pattern, does the link to the online instructions come with it? I don't know if she's talking about the woven to knit garment or the instructions for the pattern in general.
If you order the Eureka top download, that is the instructions to make the original Eureka top only. The how to make this is a separate tutorial.
Right.
Now, are we offering that as a separate product?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you can buy just if you order a kit, you get the tutorial for free. If you want just the tutorial of how to do this, it's $5. That's a separate product.
Would you recommend cotton or poly thread for this project?
I recommend poly because it's really just a choice because half of the garment is knit and half of the garment is woven, but I used polyester thread when I made this garment, and that's what's included in the kits.
Did you do a round back adjustment?
I did not, but you can. Yeah. You can do all your normal adjustments. You can change the shoulder, you can do forward adjustment, balancing, slope shoulders, widen the back, narrow the back, round back, all the normal adjustments that you might make in a t-shirt, you can make in this garment.
And it looks like Betsy posted a couple links to the tutorial and then also to the long sleeve Eureka.
Okay.
So, thank you, Betsy. Okay, I don't see anything else. Should we get a close-up of the fabric?
Yeah, you have to see the cello. I'm an old cello player. I I got my cello out the other day thinking I would play a little bit, and my bow had no no hair in it anymore, so that's how long. But here's the cello, here's the guy playing it, here's our cat, here's a trumpet of sorts, clarinet. So it's musical as well, kind of a tent sort of thing. Here's that pathway floating through space with a Ferris wheel, flowers. Here's some sort of a interesting musical instrument, the bicycle, the dog in the basket, the guy with the umbrella. I mean, I just think it's fascinating. The repeat on this is pretty large, but I didn't pay any attention to that when I cut this out. I just cut it out, and it landed where it landed. It's a half drop repeat, so there's a cat here and a cat here, but I wouldn't worry about it. I consider that an all-over motif.
I like the cow.
I know, the cat's pretty cool.
The cow.
His eyes are really searching something there. But he has curly whiskers. Oh, here's a cow and a bell. I mean, you could look at this for a long time and find all kinds of things.
The cat looks ornery.
Yeah, he does. Well, cats are ornery.
True.
So you might want to get a close-up of this too, because this reads sort of like a solid color, I think, from a distance. But it definitely is a gingham. It's a red and white gingham. But it is a seersucker weave, and so it's puckered permanently. I like that.
Okay. See if I can get back here without falling
Over
on
yourself?
my face.
Yeah.
Okay, can we buy the yardage of the fabric outside of the kit?
Not at the moment. We will get through our kits, and then we will have some yardage left at some point, I think, of this. May not have this. We're basing our kit quantities on the amount of fabric that we have here. We have a little bit left here. We'll be working through that, and as soon as we get our kit orders fulfilled, there may be some of this yardage left, and we'll let you know about that.
When do you announce sign up for So Kansas and France trip 2023?
We don't have any So Kansas events planned for 2023. I will know when I get back from France if and when we're doing another chateau. I assume we are. It'll be next July or August, and I'll let you know the dates then. I don't know dates now.
Okay. See if I.
We do have a London, a really interesting trip to London and surrounding area. Very unique trip that's different from our London textile tours, and that's next May. So I'll be telling you more about that. We're getting things finalized on that, but I'm really excited about it.
Someone said they just did a knit woven combination Eureka, but used knit in the back.
You could do that. You could flip it. Mm-hmm. Sure. You could do woven in the front, knit in the back. Yeah. You could really mix this up and have a different fabric for the yoke, different fabric for the lower back, you could have 5 or 6 different fabrics on this, and it would really be fun.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I see.
So, shall we repeat everything?
Yes.
All right. We have Eureka, Circus, French Circus Eureka top kits on sale that include these 2 fabrics and the thread. And with that kit, you get a free tutorial of how to do this arrangement that I have on. We have the tutorial separately to make this garment. That's $5. We have a tutorial called 3 Bias Bindings that's on sale. And that's it, right?
And the pattern, did you mention the pattern?
And the pattern, the Eureka top pattern, which is a download, is also on sale. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right.
Okay.
Well, once again, I thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you next week. I already know what I'm doing.